Hi, everybody. This is Lily, and Bonnie and I are here, excited to be doing this webinar, audio webinar, because we're definitely doing it a little bit different than what we've been doing if you've been involved in the Enlightened Ladies Project, Enlightened Ladies Circle. So as we're waiting for people to join us,
We can say hello. I mean, we can just say
yeah.
hello, everybody who is here and present with us. We certainly appreciate you taking the time. We get that this is a crazy time of year. Everybody has a lot of things going on, so we really appreciate that you have taken the time to be with us today, and including the people who are going to listen in delayed playback, right? Because that's still the same hour
Yeah,
of time. It's
absolutely.
just different. So
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
cool.
and everybody is so busy that Bonnie and I almost didn't do this. Bonnie and I were almost too busy to do this.
That is very
But
true.
we got so present to our commitment to humanity and sharing these gifts that are coming through for us, and so it's just exciting. But it is 11:30, so let's go ahead and get started.
Excellent. Well, welcome again to Get a Purpose. We are very excited about this, the Enlightened Humanity Project. And this is actually a bonus session that has followed 4 Enlightened Lady Circle sessions. And it's going to be a little bit different. We are actually moving away from being more of a webinar with screen slides, things like that. So you're not going to see nearly as many slides today, but we realized that the Enlightened Ladies Circle obviously was limited, just having ladies in it, and it's absolutely worthwhile. But we wanted to include the men in our lives and the men who have requested to spend time with us and do this project. So we're now the Enlightened Humanity Project. I want to take just a minute to mention the resources. The website is the 8th Chakra Company, 8thchakra.com, and we have resources there for this conversation that we're having and all the previous conversations we have had as well. So I want to encourage you guys to go on the website and take a look at those.
Yeah. I want to acknowledge too that we had planned on, and in fact have been even had several men in mind to host an Enlightened Men's Circle, and we probably will eventually do some circles that are Enlightened Ladies and also Enlightened Men's, but as we're beginning to really bring solid the creation of this project, we felt that it was more efficient for us to do an Enlightened Humanity project that can then branch off into different areas, but we're covering more ground by doing the Enlightened Humanity project. And I want to also acknowledge and thank all the men who are either on right now or will be listening later. Thank you for all your feedback and for who you have been as contribution in our lives. Bonnie and I are very blessed to have some amazing men in our lives, and thank you for your feedback and your comments, etc. And we're excited to be doing this as the quote that we found ourselves saying was, "We're all in this together! Yay!
Yes,
We're all in this together!"
for sure.
Okay. So let's talk about our intention. As those of you that have been on the Enlightened Lady Circle path with us know, intention is very important to us because by setting an intention, we are actually able to be more focused in what we're wanting to deliver and share. And so the intention for the Enlightened Humanity Project, actually this is our first live virtual conversation as the Humanity Project, but it is the bonus session for the Enlightened Lady Circle. So our intention, and Bonnie, if you wouldn't mind moving on to the next slide.
Yes.
Our intention is to become, and I want all of you to really get present to this. The intention of this call is to become present to the idea that having a purpose allows us to minimize drama in our lives and to focus on creating joy. Really what we're all here to do is to have more love, bliss, and joy in our lives. And having a purpose helps us to get there. One slight difference between the conversation that we're doing today and the ones that we've had with Enlightened Lady Circle is that Bonnie and I have spent more time in the upfront to set up a process, but right now we're going to move into Bonnie and I talking less, and those of you that are on the call to participate more in the interactive conversation. So we're going to open this up in a couple of minutes to having everybody that's on the call be able to participate. And so some of you may be listening through your phones, and we may not see you on the list. So make sure that you do what you've done in the past, which is to actually maybe send us a text or message or whatnot. And sometimes we may get a message from some of you that don't want to hear your voice on the call, but that you want to send us a question, and that's okay. We would, of course, love it for you to raise your hand in the little list here so that we can call upon you and you can actually participate. But if you feel more comfortable by sending us a question or sending us a comment through either the chat mode or the question mode on your webinar screen, that is okay too. And we can certainly participate. You can certainly participate that way. But remember that we're all in this together, so this is going to be a very interactive conversation.
Yes, I'm so excited about this. This new format is such an awesome way to have a conversation about this. So just in case some of you may have wondered why we feel like this topic is so important, you know, one of the things that Lily and I realized is with everything that is happening in the world today, you know, we realize that one of the reasons why we haven't been so caught up in what is happening is because we are so focused on creating this group, the Enlightened Humanity Project, and then each of us is doing our own activities as well. And what we realized is that having that purpose, having that clear sense of where we are going and what we are doing in the world has been an opportunity for us to understand that the drama and all the additional stuff that is happening in our lives disappears when we have a focus, when we are clear which direction we are moving in. And so the two of us, when we got together, we looked at each other and we're like, that's it, we need to talk about purpose. Purpose is so important. And you know, as Akashic Record readers, that's one of the questions that we get most often from people is, what's my purpose? Am I following my purpose? Am I moving in the right direction? And so we knew that this is what was really important for us to talk to people about, for the reason that there's so much opportunity to look at drama, and when you can step out of that and focus on what you're here to do and what you really want to accomplish, life becomes so much easier and that stuff falls away.
Yeah. Oh, and I want to interject on something that for some of you, this may be the first time that you're on this call, especially if you're of the male contingency.
Sure.
So I want to mention that how we're going to do this is that we're going to move into a 25-minute interactive conversation here in a couple of minutes, and then we're going to do an Akashic Records reading for the group that's on this call, participating either live or in the playback, which you may listen to at another time in the future. And we're also going to be doing a Theta-Healing download. Now, here's the thing, is that if you're new to this, you may not know what Akashic Records are or what Theta-Healing is, and that's okay. We have information on 8thchakra.com that you can go to, and as Bonnie mentioned earlier, there's a lot of resources available to you that you could later go back to and make sure that you're getting yourself up to date on what is Akashic Records and what is Theta-Healing. And then the last thing too, before we move into the interactive conversation, which we still have a couple minutes to set up for, is that there is a workbook, and you'll see it here in the handouts on your little control panel. There is a handout there, and this is for the Enlightened Humanity Project. And one of the things that we're doing a little bit different is that the workbooks that we've had previously for Enlightened Lady Circle have been, fill out this workbook and it'll make your experience a little bit more powerful for you. But what we're doing here is we're actually recommending that you fill out the workbook after the call, because from this conversation, there's a whole nother world that's going to be opened up to you of things that maybe you already knew, or maybe you're just being reminded of. And Bonnie and I like to be really in this place of, we're not here to teach you anything, we're just here to open up some avenues for you to remember what you already know. And so by working on that workbook, it'll have the learning from this experience be that much more effective for you and applicable in your life.
Well said. Absolutely well said. Thank you for saying all those things. That's really important for people to understand. Do you want to take just a minute and talk about the purpose versus goal? I have to admit, I'm going to admit this straight up, is that purpose and goal weren't as clear to me as they were to Lily, and Lily has an amazing handle on this stuff. So you may feel like she is taking more of the time to talk, but it's because she has so much awesome information that I want to make sure she fits it all in. So go ahead, Lily.
Thank you, Bonnie. But I actually, you're so sweet, but I really do think you have just as much information and even more, but thank you. So we want to distinguish between purpose and goal, because a lot of times we tend to utilize those two things interchangeably. We sometimes think that that the goals that we have in our life is a purpose, or we use those interchangeably, and they're really not. So we're going to declare as a distinction how we're going to be using purpose versus goal in this conversation, because really at the end of the day, however you consider purpose versus goal to be is really an opinion, and it's based on belief systems. And that's something that we're going to delve into as we move into this interactive conversation. So it's all about belief systems. Everything, how we function in our life, is about our belief systems. So we're going to distinguish, for the purpose of this call, the difference between purpose and goal. So how we want to view purpose is something that's much, much bigger than a goal. A goal is something that is finite. Normally goals have a timeline associated with them, and they're very specific. One example that we use is going to college. Going to college might be a goal that you have. I want to get a degree in business, and so one of my goals is to go to college. Now the purpose of that goal might be that I want to gain knowledge and information and wisdom so that I can go out in the world and be a healer, for example. So the purpose might be that my purpose is to be a healer for humanity. The goal might be to get a medical degree. So that is an example of how we're going to distinguish purpose and goal. So a purpose is a much broader view or vision of who we are. I see purpose being more an ontological thing, or in other words, something about being, like who I am, what is my vision, what am I here to accomplish as a human being in this lifetime, versus a goal, which a goal is more of the milestones that are going to help me to accomplish or to fulfill on my purpose. So a goal is more oriented towards the actions necessary that have a timeline associated with them in order to fulfill on that purpose, which is a much broader view. Okay, so we're going to distinguish it from there, and I think that this is a great opportunity to jump into having those of you that are on the call to maybe make a comment, and it's really important as we're having this conversation that maybe make some notes as to a comment that you want to make or a question that you want to have, because we are now going to open it up to really anyone participating.
And how you do that is to raise your hand. So when you raise your hand, then I'm able to open up your mic and we're able to have a conversation with you. So at any time, if you have something you would like to say, please feel free to raise your hand. Nothing is too silly or too out of the question to ask. We always laugh when we all get together and somebody says, this question might sound really weird, because we understand that everything that we're doing sounds a little bit weird. That's kind of how it is, but that's okay. Please feel free to jump in at any point.
Yeah. And I want to acknowledge that there is a couple of people actually that have reached out to me on text to let me know that they're on the call, but we don't see them on the list and we can't hear them, unfortunately. So if you do have something that you want to add or participate on, please by all means send me a text message. I'll be alert to it.
Awesome.
So we have a question here, and what that's telling me is that this person does not want to be live on the call because she's not raising her hand. So I'm going to read her question, and it says, while I understand that I am responsible for how my life is turning out and all that goes with it, my question is, how can I maintain my inner peace and clarity while dealing with all the things that show up in my life, which is so stressful? Like, how can I stay focused when there are so many distractions and so much crap to deal with? By the time I get to the enlightened things, I'm exhausted and have run out of time, energy, clarity, money, etc., etc., etc. Okay, wow, we could do a whole webinar on just that question. Thank
For
you for
sure.
sending that.
For sure. For sure.
Wow. This is an excellent question, I believe, because we're all experiencing that, and I think right now because of the holidays, and in fact, that's one of the things that led Bonnie and I to look at the importance of this, because during the holidays there is so much drama going on. So to answer your question in really simple terms, having a purpose for who you are actually does help you to gain and maintain that inner peace and clarity. Let's use the example of the holidays, which we all just came from the holidays, where some of us might have been dreading going to that family event where we're going to see Aunt Fufu or Uncle Peter or Cousin John, and we're all we're afraid because in the past there's been drama or conflicts between family members, and so we're already dreading it. Okay, and I think we all have experienced that kind of thing, that we're just kind of dreading the holidays. So here's how purpose actually can be utilized in order to maintain that inner peace that you're talking about in this question, and that is the following. If I'm going to go to a family event and in my mind I'm thinking about, oh my gosh, I'm dreading Uncle Fufu is going to say this, and then Aunt Fifi is going to respond with this, and then it's just going to be a big old fight, and then everybody's going to be, wanting to yell at each other and bring up the family laundry or whatever. But instead, if you focus on your purpose, and maybe your purpose is something really, really simple, like who I am is love and joy in the world. And then you take that purpose of that who you are is love and joy in the world, you kind of put it in your pocket, and you walk into that family event being love and joy for the world. Now, if who you are being is love and joy for the world, or maybe it's peace, then now you begin to see the interactions with your family members from the vision of love and joy and peace. And if that's who you're being, that is absolutely naturally going to go out into the energy space that you have around you. We've talked about energy a lot in the past, and how the energy of how we're being, your emotions, the way that you react, the way that you act, the words that you say, the thoughts that you have, how that impacts the people around you. So if you walk in there knowing that who you are and your purpose is love and joy and peace, that's the energy that you're going to be putting out. And as you do that and you listen for those conversations, now you'll be able to interject from a place of love versus from a place of fear or a place of anxiety.
Right. Absolutely. And from a very practical standpoint, in the last 3 weeks and the next week, I am selling a house, moving out of my house that I've lived in for 16 years. I have just launched my very first book, and have hosted Thanksgiving dinner for the majority of the people weren't even my family members. And so when I would fall into that thought process of like, this is so stressful, I had to catch myself and say, that was me just defining that that was stressful. So it was a habit for me to go, oh my God, this is so stressful. When in fact, I said, wow, this is really exciting. I get an opportunity to spend one last holiday with a whole bunch of people at my house, and I'll have that memory. And so I had to keep catching myself when I was falling back into my habit of, this is stressful, I can't handle this, this is too much. Whatever the sentence or the story was that I would interject, I would stop it and say, I'm not going to have that conversation. This is exciting. We can look at things in two different ways. If I say, this is so stressful, my body goes, all right, let's react in stress. If I say, this is really exciting, it's actually the exact same physiological responses in my body, but now my brain is going, this is so exciting, let's take it on. So it's really a practical point to start looking at what we're saying in our head, and that's where we're talking about these belief systems that Thanksgiving is stressful, or moving is, one of the most stressful things you can do in your life. No, it's an opportunity to clean out, to get rid of, to change it up and do something different, and I can take it on as I decide.
Beautiful. And so that's one way to begin to understand how having a purpose can help you minimize the drama in your life, is that we can have one big purpose in our life, but we can also have little purposes that we create for each event in our life. So my purpose for the holidays might be to remain in my inner peace and calm. If I keep that in my mind as that is my purpose, is to remain calm throughout all the drama that could be potentially arising, then I am now able to focus on that inner calm versus all the anxiety like Bonnie is talking about. So let's throw out a question for all of you that are on the call, and for those of you that are listening to the recording, go ahead and think of a question, because I guarantee you your questions are going to be answered when we get to the portion about with the Akashic Records reading. Our masters and teachers are going to answer all of our questions, whether you're on this call live and actually participating by raising your hand or not, or if you're listening to the recording. Think about some questions that you have right now or some comments that you have, because I promise you they will be answered. So the first question that we'd like to throw out to you is, are we born with a purpose?
Ooh.
So would anybody like to participate and let us know, what do you think about that? Are we born with a purpose?
Do you know what I really
And
love about
while
this?
we're waiting for you.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we had a hand up.
Okay.
Hand up, hand up. Almost had a hand up. There we go. We have a hand up.
Okay. So.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Hello, can you
Hello.
hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. So the question is, am I born with a purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, hi everybody.
Hi.
So I believe that yes, we are born with a purpose, and the journey of our lifetime is to remember that purpose.
Love that.
Mm.
Love that.
Oh,
very nice. Very nice. Thank you.
Kind of
Do
like
we
we're
have
born
someone?
with a blanket over us, or like in the shell, and our journey is about chipping that shell away, or removing that blanket and remembering who we are inside of our purpose.
Very good.
Yeah,
Very
that makes
good.
complete sense. Cool.
Then another participant is saying here, yes, we may just not discover it until later in life. And then this same participant goes on to say, I also think we have more than one. So this is really wonderful, because this leads us to whatever we believe there is about a purpose. And for me, I work with a lot of people around purpose, and many of us do believe that we're born with a purpose, and that our job is to discover it, and that we may have more than one, and that absolutely could be true. At the end of the day, what we're wanting to propose is that it doesn't really matter what the truth is about purpose, whether we're born with it or not born with it, or whether we have more than one purpose or we not have more than one purpose. Because it is a challenge. If we are born with a purpose, then our challenge is to then remember it, discover it, etc. But many of us might spend an inordinate amount of time trying to look for that purpose. And as a matter of fact, I would venture to say that the billion-dollar self-help industry, which many of you that are on this call would know about this, because you're probably one of the participants. Well, I'm going to include me, of course. We're all of us that are in this enlightened seeking path, we understand that we want to be a better human being. We want to know what our purpose is. We want to fulfill on our purpose, and therefore we will do almost anything to figure out what that is, including spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on self-help seminars and workshops and books, etc., etc., etc. I know for myself, I have done that. So I think what we are wanting to, and Bonnie and I are wanting to really impart on you, is that whatever our belief system is around whether we're born with it or not born with it, what's really powerful is to consider that even when we are not remembering our purpose, or even when we are not discovering our purpose, it is actually potentially possible to make one up. And so that would be the next question. Do you think that we can actually create a purpose?
That is a great question.
So someone is saying, yeah, and we can choose our purpose every day throughout the day. It is pliable. Thank you for that. Yes, our purpose is pliable. And I want to share with you that part of my experience, and this is I'm just going to make a really long story, very, very condensed. But I found myself in a period of my life where I felt that it was the most important thing was to discover or to understand my purpose. And then one day, after being very upset and in a lot of anxiety about the fact that after so many workshops and so many seminars and so many books, I had still no idea of what my purpose was, I got this, like a light bulb went off in my head that said, what if you don't have a purpose? What if you were not born with a purpose? This was just inside of me, out of the frustration of not knowing my purpose. All of a sudden, I found myself in this space of, oh, what if I wasn't born with a purpose? What if that's not true? What if what I've been believing all my life is that I don't really have a purpose? And in that moment, I became very scared. But immediately after that, what happened is that I became present to the possibility that I could just make one up. And that's what I did. I actually made up a purpose. I made it up. Now, some of us could say that, well, you didn't really make it up. You just in that moment remembered it. Okay, I'm willing to be with that. I'm willing to say, okay, I didn't actually make it up. In that moment, I remembered it. I remembered it because in that moment, I gave up the notion or the belief that I was actually born with one. And by giving up the notion that I was actually born with one, maybe I wasn't, in that moment, I freed up the space in my consciousness that allowed me to remember it. I like to think that I made it up because that's what it felt like to me, is that I actually made up a purpose in that moment. And that purpose that I made up, which I'll share was, like 25 years ago, that purpose that I made up has actually helped me pave the path through 3 career shifts, very successful career shifts, opening a business, several businesses actually, and it has been very instrumental for me. So yes, did that open up for me that I could remember it? Absolutely. Did it open it up the space for me because I saw a blank wall and I thought, okay, well, if I wasn't born with a purpose, let me just make one up.
I
So
really
I'm
love
sharing this
that.
with you. Thank you, Bonnie. So I'm sharing this with you so that you can begin to have some hope, because I think that many of you that are on this call, like Bonnie and I, we're always constantly searching and looking for answers. What is the meaning of life? That's another one. What is my purpose and what is the meaning of life? We all feel that if we had the answers to those questions, we could actually be more happy, we could be more joyful, we could have more peace. Talking about the gal who said, how do I maintain that inner peace? How do I maintain inner peace and clarity while dealing with all these things? Well, you do that by being clear of who you are. And if that means making something up that's bigger than yourself. And so the challenge for everyone that's on this call, again, whether you're on this call live or you're listening to the recording, the challenge is to ask yourself, okay, well, if I'm not clear about what my purpose is, then what can I focus on that really brings joy in my life? And so I'd like to pose that question for all of us that are on this call right now, including Bonnie and me. What is it that brings us joy? Or let's say if each one of us are asking ourselves that question, what truly brings me joy in my life? What can I focus on that when I am focused on it, I forget everything that's going on. Like the artist that's working on that sculpture or that painting. When that artist is working on that sculpture or that painting, their purpose is to have some kind of creativity come to life through a medium, which can be a canvas or a chunk of clay. The purpose is to have art become alive and expressed in the world. The goal is to finish that sculpture. The goal is to finish that painting. But that artist's purpose is to have art and creativity expressed in the world. And that brings joy to that individual. So let's ask ourselves that question, and if anybody would like to share, that would be fabulous.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's so powerful about that is that when we can remember that we're actually here to be consistently, constantly in joy, we can start to step into that awareness. So it's like, I don't feel good right now. Why is that? I'm not feeling joyful. Well, what can you do to feel joyful? Okay, let me do that. Or let me find the thing that I have to do in my life, like I have to get this project done. Let me see where I can uncover the joy in the process so that I am being aligned with what makes me happy and moving forward in my life. So it's a really good point. And since we don't have anybody right now,
Wait, I do have someone.
okay.
Someone is texting me and asking me a question about that. He's saying, I understand about having purpose minimizes drama. However, what about things that are so beyond my control, such as the political situation in this
I
country?
love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Oh, and then just on top of that, I have another text message coming in. Joy for me is bringing ease and grace to all things in the world. Thank you. Thank you for that.
So
Bonnie, do you wanna address that with the political
yeah,
situation?
I mean, I've been like all over this piece because as I mentioned, I just finished writing my book, and my book is on the universal laws and how we can find health and happiness through using the universal laws. And so what was fascinating to me when everything started to unravel or unfold, depending on which word you like, with the political situation is that how important the universal laws are in this process. And the two I'm talking about are the law of divine timing, which says that everything happens exactly as it's supposed to happen. And one of the things that I'm constantly challenged with is it really happening exactly as it's supposed to? Because it doesn't feel good. I don't like it. It's not making me happy. And so I have to understand that when I can really be clear that it always happens exactly as it's supposed to. I don't get to pick and choose when things happen and how things happen, that it happens. So for me, I did not vote for Donald Trump. And so when he was elected, I was just like, what is going on? But I had to realize that nothing happens by mistake. Everything happens exactly as it should. So what am I supposed to learn from that? Which calls in the second universal law that applies to this process, which is the law of reflection, which says everything that I see in the world is really a reflection of what's going on inside of me. So as someone who converted to Judaism, I could very easily jump on the bandwagon with almost all of my friends who are really nervous, upset, frightened, worried, whatever words you want to use about what's happening with Donald Trump being the next president of the United States. I realized that is them running old programs. That is them running old stories in their head. So they don't have a context to pull from of what happens when somebody gets elected that you are so scared of being president, that they go back to a time period, either in this life or a previous life, and pull information into their present day and say, we have to be afraid, we have to be scared, they're coming to get us, the people have guns, whatever the story is that you notice that you're feeling. So when you can be aware that what you think you're seeing is really a reflection of what is happening inside of you, you can start to go inside and ask, what do I need to learn from this? As a woman, I can say, wow, there's so much for me to clear, to be aware of, to understand with Donald Trump being the next president of the United States. what do I need to clear? What am I still holding on to? What fears, what past life issues do I have? And that's one of the beautiful things about having access to the Akashic Records, is that you start to understand these issues on a bigger scale. And as I start to be more clear about what I need to heal in my own body or come to an understanding, the issues around it start to disappear. That's where purpose comes in, right? Because my purpose is to heal my issues. I heal my issues, and then I step forward and start to help other people see the things that I've seen and become more aware. Does that make sense?
That's so, yes. Oh, thank you, Bonnie. That is so great. And I want to share with everybody that one of the, in fact, it was the political situation. So interesting that this question came up. It was the political situation that led Bonnie and I to say, to the title of this conversation called Get a Purpose is really about how having that purpose can lead you to have that kind of insights that Bonnie just shared with us. If Bonnie didn't have a strong purpose in her life, she would probably get caught up in, oh my God, what's going to happen now that Donald Trump has been elected? But Bonnie doesn't look outside. And for those of us, and for all of you that are on this call, and I'm sure this is going to be something for us all to kind of munch on, is that by having a purpose, you know, get a purpose. It's like, do you remember when you were young and your mom or your dad used to say to you when you complained about there's nothing to do or I'm bored, get a job, okay? Do something. Get on task with something. Because, and then there's that old saying about, I don't know, I'm so bad with sayings, but idle hands are the workshop for the devil or something like that.
Works
But,
for
you know,
me.
what that just means and talks about is that when you are not busy doing things that really build up your life and build up the lives around you, you're going to be focused on destruction, because all around us there's either destruction or construction, and you get to choose whether you participate on construction and creativity or the destructive forces, because the contrast will always be there. We are in this dualistic world in order to experience the contrast between good and bad. But, you know, it's this duality that it's just part of our reality, the duality reality, right? We can't get away from it, but we have free will that we can choose what we're going to focus on. And getting a purpose is about having a place to look at. And for what Bonnie just shared is so beautiful, because her purpose is what gets her to focus on herself. Where am I lacking? What do I need to work on? What is going on with me that I need to still work on, so that the world doesn't reflect back to me something that I'm working on or that I need to work on? That is just so beautiful, and that it really is why it's so important and why this conversation is important. And so that brings me to and someone else shared here, but we're kind of running out of time because we want to get into the Akashic Records reading. But I would be remiss if we didn't move into, many of you might be thinking, okay, so great, so we got the importance of purpose, which I've always known my life, whole my life anyway. So yes, it's important. But now, what do we do about not knowing our purpose? Or how do we know that we're on the right track with our purpose, and how do we actually get a purpose? And so I want to just take a minute to talk about what are some of the tools that can be utilized for not only discovering but also for creating. As I shared, for me, and to talk about one of the participants said, and sometimes we might discover that we have more than one purpose, and it's pliable. We can actually create different purposes or have different purposes. Yes, you can create a purpose for different events in your life, different aspects of your life. And one of the ways that I have found is a tool that I utilize with a lot of my clients is something that I call consciousness mapping, which is a form of mind mapping that helps us to lay down the foundation utilizing messaging or subliminal messaging from our own subconscious, from our higher self, our I am presence, to get on a piece of paper through creativity and through construction a way to understand we can arrive at a purpose and what is our purpose. So that's one tool. And we're going to be, stuff is going to be on 8thchakra.com. So that's one tool, consciousness mapping. Another tool is dreams. The dream work that most of us kind of understand the benefit of our dreams and how our dreams give us subliminal messages and symbolic messages about things in our life. But very few of us actually remember our dreams, and those that when we do remember our dreams, we don't necessarily know how to interpret them. And there's a lot of books written about dreams and how to interpret dreams, but we have developed a technique that actually helps you to understand how to use your dreams for the creation of your purpose. And so that's also in the resources. I actually wrote a whole article about it, so those of you that might be interested can read that article. But we also do, Bonnie and I are planning to do a workshop just on that, utilizing consciousness mapping, utilizing dream work. And then, of course, the Akashic Records is a huge tool. One of the resource books in the resources that we're providing for you is about how to use the Akashic Records in order to access how your purpose has shifted and moved and been pliable throughout your lifetimes, and how you can discover it and or remember it in your present lifetime. Of course, Theta-Healing as well. Meditation is an excellent way to do that. And then there's another technique which I call puzzle work, which is about how to take the different pieces of the puzzle in your life to construct what it's supposed to look like. So these are some tools that are available to you, to all of us, and we would love for you to go to eighthchakra.com and become familiarized with that. And Bonnie and I are available for individual sessions to work on this with you, so please do consider utilizing that as a resource, because Bonnie and I are both very committed to humanity moving into this space and utilizing all the tools that are available to us and all the resources that are available to us, so that as a humanity we can move, not just individually, but as a group, as a race, as humanity, move into a world and a place of enlightenment.
Very cool. You did that really well, very quick.
Thanks,
But thank goodness all the resources.
I need to hang out with you. I need to hang out with you more often, Bonnie.
You know, it is a really cool thing when you, speaking of a purpose, when you get to work with someone who is so committed and supportive of everything that I do. It's a very cool thing to be in that place. So I certainly thank you for being so purpose-driven. And guess what time it is?
Yes, we're going to move into our Akashic Records reading, and I want to acknowledge that there is a couple of people that are sending questions and sending comments, and thank you for that. And we so much appreciate it when people participate, when all of you, the beautiful people that we love so much, and are participating. But we are running out of time, so we're going to move into the group reading and healing session of this call. And so
I'm ready.
This is the moment when we actually go in and Bonnie and I take turns to listen to what the masters and teachers of this group. Now, this group is a very large group, because those of you that are live on this call are not here by coincidence. You're here because there's a gold nugget for you to capture with your hands and put it to your heart and run with it. And for those of you that are listening to this recording, this applies to you as well. So you're not here by coincidence. You're here because you're asking for something, and it is being delivered to you right now. And so if you would all just give Bonnie and I a second to just ground ourselves here and begin the reading from the masters that is applicable to everyone on this call, and that will speak to you as an individual, but also as a participant on this Enlightened Humanity Project Get a Purpose call.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so the very first thing that the masters want me to say, which I find a little humorous because it's not my phrase, is that all is well. And all is well is the phrase from Louise Hay, and she does a lot of work. I would encourage you to check out her book that is actually in our resource section. But they want you to know that all is well, that is all-encompassing for everything that is happening on the planet. And for the person who just said, yeah, not my stuff, it includes you too. And they want you to know that everything is happening. everything that is happening exactly as it should, that it is happening to make us more aware, for us to be more conscious in the way that we live. So many of us have been talking about how we have been waking up, that we have been asleep for a long time, maybe for many lifetimes. And they're saying that that is absolutely true, that we have all been in a bit of a sleep, and there are people that still need to step into their consciousness. They still need to step into their awareness, and everything that is happening in the world today is allowing us to do that, is kind of putting us in the very uncomfortable position of stepping out and doing the things that we haven't wanted to do. So it's kind of the analogy that they're giving me is if we were standing in the wings of a stage and saying, I'm going to go on next, I'm going to go on next, I'm going to go on next, and our friend comes by and just pushes us, a big huge shove out into the spotlight, and we're suddenly there like, oh no, now what do we do? And so we have all had a bit of being pushed into a place where we're not sure exactly what we need to do and exactly how things happen. But in fact, we have everything that we need inside of us. We have just gotten used to looking outside of ourselves for the answers. So the analogy that they're giving me here is how often we get sick and we think we need to go to the doctor for the doctor to tell us, oh, you have a cold, take these pills, and if things haven't cleared up in a week, come back and see me, as opposed to what we really can do is to quiet ourselves down and calm ourselves down and really look inside, go inside and say, well, let's see, I have this happening and I have that happening, and really listening to ourselves, listening to our bodies. And we have always had this ability, but it's a little bit like we have been trained to look outside of ourselves. So what they're telling all of us is to start looking inside for the answers. Start becoming more aware that you have all the information that you need. You just have to practice using it. And they're giving me this little like aside, is that for those of you who are saying, yeah, not me, that's not me, that's not my situation, is to understand that it is all of our situation, that we can practice going inside and practice listening and know that we know the answers. Many times the answer is that we need to remove ourselves. We need to take a step back and we need to remove ourselves from the situation so that we are clear of the energy and in a space where we can listen to ourselves. So they really want to encourage all of us to know that everything is happening exactly as it's supposed to, that all really is well.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Whew. First of all, I want to acknowledge that there's a tremendous amount of energy around all of us right now.
Mm-hmm.
I am feeling such it's like a huge vibration around us. And what the masters and teachers want us to know is that we are all here because we are wanting to move from this place that we call trying to understand things to a new place, which is the knowing of things. Rather than the understanding or making sense of it all, as a group, as a humanity, but especially for those of us that are on this call, we are here because all of us are beginning to understand that trying to make sense of the world trying to make sense of what is going on in our lives is not working. And they want us to know that the minute that we stop trying to make sense of things, we can then have the freedom to move into the knowing of what there is for us to really gain from the knowledge and the wisdom that our spirit has been moving through lifetime. And they're showing me the analogy, they're showing me this analogy of a cartoon where, I don't know if you've ever seen those cartoons where you have one little cartoon figure got something put on their brain, and then those thoughts and it were transferred through some wires to the brain of someone else, like transferring that personality to another personality. That's what they're showing me, like two little cartoon characters where the thoughts and the ideas of one are being transferred to the other. And what they're showing me is our brain, all the information, the knowledge, the thought systems, the belief systems that we have come to know that make us a human being through intelligence and through all the reasoning skills that we have. Those are very valuable skills. And for those of us that are on this call, whether you're live or listening to the recording, what is important is for us to realize that we are moving into another space. And I'm seeing like this connection between the brain and the heart, and to make that connection much, much stronger and to pay less attention to what's going on in the brain. Not that the brain is not important, but that in the heart is where the answers are. So I think that's right along the lines of what you were saying, Bonnie, is to let's listen to what's inside of us. And what's inside of us, is they're pointing out, is really in the heart center. And it's about moving into a space of love and compassion and forgiveness for what is going on, but then to step outside of trying to make sense of it all. And I think for most of us, that is a challenge, because we are tend to want to make sense and understand it all. So they're asking me to for those of you that are on this call, the download for today is to program ourselves to delete the programming that says we have to understand something, and to move into a program that says, I already know. I already know how to move forward in this situation. I don't have to understand it from an intellectual standpoint. And that is a program that's hard for us. We don't have, the programming is in it. They're showing me now the whole DNA strand and how our genetic composition through survival, we have had to understand things. Oh, I'm getting all these chills all through my whole body because the download is already happening, guys. This is really, really incredible. So for those of you that are new to this call or that are listening to this recording, we are about to, through the assistance of the Akashic Records, our masters and teachers, and the connection through Source God, Mother, Father, God, Creator of all that is perfect, we are now going to be downloading to all of us that are in this group the program for the knowing of who we are. Wow. Now, for those of you that are new, please know that if it is not your will or your intention to receive this program, it will not be downloaded for you, okay? So there's no need for you to have a concern about that. If you don't want this program, that's okay. You will not receive it. But for those of you that are giving us permission, and when I say us, I mean those of us that are on this call and connected, because many of you that are on this call are just as connected here with our Akashic Records, and I'm seeing, actually they're showing me that all of us are connected. They're showing me this like a network, and I'm seeing all these lines, kind of like a web, if you will, and it's really brilliant. It's silver. It has a lot of different lines that connect us all together, all of us that are on this call, and even extends itself all over to humanity. So there's like a web that's connecting us all. It's a divine web, sort of like a divine matrix, if you will, that connects us all through our heart centers. The heart center, which is putting us in a place of the knowing versus the understanding. And it's that place that is the magic to really being able to be the open conduit for receiving and creating and discovering and being our purpose. They're saying me that before and that the download is coming, but they're telling me for us to all be aware that we all on this call already know our purpose. And for those of us that are still trying to figure it out, the not figuring it out will actually have it come to you. Like, boom, like suddenly. You will be driving down the road, you will be waking up one day, you will be having a conversation with your daughter or with your husband or wife, and all of a sudden you're going to go, oh, that's it. And it's going to be like a lightning rod that's going to come to you. And so this download is just, if everybody can just get, I'd like for everybody that's on this call or listening to the recording to take a deep breath right now and just breathe into your heart. And if it is your will to receive this program, let it be now. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is done. So I'm seeing this web that's connecting us all of a sudden it has these shining little particles that are jumping off of it, and they're forming a spiral moving upwards. It's kind of like there's this electricity moving, and it's moving upwards. It's moving upwards, kind of like into the cosmic realm, and then it's like sucks something out of this cosmic realm, and now it's coming back into that network and downloading itself into all of our heart centers. Wow. Some of you might be experiencing, there's something at the top of our spine that connects the brain, the base of the brain, the skull, and then to the rest of the body. There's something going on there, like this sucking up of whatever this was that went up, and like a spiral, almost like a little tornado, and then it's sucked back down, and it's centered in our heart, but at the same time it's impacting something there on the base of our skull. So everybody could just take another deep breath. Wow. Wow. And we are complete. So what there is for me to say, this little web thing that I saw was really uniting who we are as brothers and sisters and who we know ourselves to be in the oneness and unity of the creation of Source, and then energizing that and kind of like quadrupling it, quintupling it, like exponentially growing it into one source to then download from the cosmic realm what we need in order to be able to step into the knowing of who we are versus the understanding of who we are. So congratulations to us all for being a part of this. Wow.
That was awesome. That was totally awesome. Thank you very much, Lily. I certainly appreciate it. And we've got to figure out a way to transition from that powerful download that you do into these things that are just like, okay, here's our end. Because it's such amazing stuff, and to energetically be able to shift is just always a practice. So I want to let you all know that we are not going to be doing anything in the month of December simply because we know you are busy, we know we are busy, lots of things happening in the month of December. But in January, we are going to be moving in to the Enlightened Humanity Project in a way that we haven't done before. We're very excited about what will be coming up in January, and I want to encourage everybody that is on this call to do two things. One is to make sure that you are connected with us in some way. If Facebook is your thing, please make sure that you like our page. And if you really want to be connected through email, make sure you go to our website and you connect that way. The second thing I would really love for you to do is to send this information on to 2, 3, 4 of your friends, because we are really committed to having this spread like Lily was talking about with the web. The web that she saw. We really want to have this spread like wildfire. We think that this is an awesome opportunity for people, and we really want to encourage you to share it with some other people. Just in case you think that people are going to think you're weird, don't worry about it, because it's absolutely not true. They actually find out that they love this information. So please spread it to all of your friends, to people that you know and love, particularly during this holiday season. Lily, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just want to say that we're all a little weird in a very cute way, and I love it.
True. True.
So thank you so much, all of you. Really, truly, Bonnie and I love you. We love what we're doing. It does fulfill on our purpose and who we are. And please don't forget to consider how you might utilize the resources that we've provided to help you in your path as you're moving. And don't forget too that 2016 is about releasing and letting go of those things that no longer serve you, and moving into 2017, which is a 1 year. It's a year of beginnings. It's going to be a very powerful year for the seeds that you planted this year by plowing away all the weeds. And so we still have 6 weeks to go in this year where you can continue pulling those weeds and make that a fertile ground for the seeds of who you are in this world, and begin to remember that, and so that those seeds can blossom and become huge, gigantic trees in 2017.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a fabulous week and a beautiful holidays, and we'll see you next year. Happy, happy New Year. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.